What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look up in Montreal as we're taking a look at the Montreal Canadiens and my predictions for where they're going to end up drafting first overall. We've gotten a couple more reports on that front. We've gotten some news about Josh Anderson. Should they trade him or not? Make sure to check out that video I did a couple weeks back. A really great video. We're also talking about Jeff Petry. There's been some updates on Jeff Petry, where he has been linked to in a trade. We're going to go over all of that today. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the draft. Of course, that's the big hot topic ticket item right now in Montreal. And according to Arpin Basu, not only is it's not a slam dunk that the Montreal Canadiens will take Shane Wright at the first overall pick, it's sounding like the momentum of Juraj Slafkovsky has left the Canadiens impressed. So again, I think this is smoke and mirrors. I do really think they're going to draft Shane Wright, but they are trying to create that little bit of competition. Are they going to take Slafkovsky? Are they going to take Wright? So I think that's a little bit interesting. So again, continuing that, it sounds like the momentum has shifted to Slafkovsky, but again, they still, I truly believe, will go with Shane Wright first overall. Let me know what you guys think of that. I think it's a little bit getting crazy, but I had to mention it because it has been a hot topic item here recently, especially in Montreal. So, according to the fourth period, this is an update on one of the Habs forwards. Mike Hoffman's name has circulated on the trade market over the last few days. Now, the problem with Mike Hoffman, he just signed that contract last summer. That was a Mark Bergevin contract. That was a gift he gave on his way out before leaving the team. And that is kind of a tough contract right now. He still has 2 full seasons left at $4.5 million per season. I think they can move that if they want to. But that is going to be something to consider. He's 32 years old. He'll be 34, 35 by the end of that contract. So the Montreal Canadiens might have to do a little bit of parsing out what is his value. Teams are going to probably want to figure that out if they do look to acquire him. Mike Hoffman is a scoring winger. That's what you're getting from him. But a lot of teams are a little bit hesitant, especially with his history off the ice in the past and things like that. Again, some of it not completely in his control. There have been some questions about character, but again, I do think teams will go after him because he is a good hockey player. He scores goals. So we also have an update from Arpin on terms of Carey Price. The Canadiens likely won't have clarity on Carey Price's status until around training camp, which is so frustrating for Kent Hughes and the staff there, because what do? You're basically planning to start next season without Carey Price, but there is the chance in September he is available and ready to go. He's just not a liable goaltender right now, and it's very frustrating watching the Habs trying to figure this whole thing out. They were able to move Shea Weber. I truly believe, and I think this is not much of a stretch, it is going to be harder to move Carey Price than it was to move Shea Weber. It's one of those things, and one of you guys asked in the comments, shout out to you guys asking about that trade. What are my thoughts? I didn't want to make a whole video about the Weber and Dadonov trade. They bring in Dadonov. He's got $5 million, the final year of that contract. He wanted out of Vegas. Vegas didn't want him. Shea Weber's contract, this is a win for the Canadiens because they shed that long-term contract off their books, so they're paying out less to the team overall. Also, Dadonov's contract ends next year. So while Vegas is going to be paying for Shea Weber over the next 4 seasons, they only have to pay Dadonov for this season, and that's $5 million. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, then why would the Vegas Golden Knights do that? And this is what I'm getting to. He's going to be placed on long-term injured reserve. So he's not going to count against the Vegas Golden Knights salary cap next season. Kind of like we saw the Tampa Bay Lightning when they made that trade with Chicago, where they acquired Brent Seabrook, right? It's like, why are the Lightning getting Seabrook? He's got a terrible contract that ended up going on the long-term injured reserve. It was money that Tampa Bay was paying yet they weren't actually paying it. Most of that contract was already paid out. Same thing for Shea Weber. Most of his contract's already been paid out, especially starting this July. You know, the first day of free agency, the contract resets. His contract's going to be much easier for Vegas to actually pay out, and that money goes on LTIR. So it's really for the Montreal Canadiens, it's lowering their overall money spent on the team in terms of cap, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference at the end of the day. So I figured I'd mention that to some of you guys, just in case you were wondering. So now let's move on. So now we have some updates on Jonathan Drewen. Eric Engels speculates that the Canadiens could move Jonathan Drewen and Paul Byron this summer. When you look at their situation, Paul Byron is getting paid $3.4 million this season. This is the final year of his contract. He is on a little bit of the older side, 33 years old. He was acquired off of waivers, which is crazy. He's been a very good player in Montreal, considering he was a waiver claim. Most of those guys don't stick around as long as Paul Byron has, but he's really worked his way into the lineup, and you have to give him credit for that. He's a great hockey player for what he provides in the bottom six. So I'm sure they'll try and find some candidates there. Jonathan Drewen is on the long-term injured reserve. Does that sound familiar? One less guy off of there in Shea Weber. Jonathan Drewen is still there. He has a modified no-trade clause. He's getting paid $5.5 million for this season. So his money comes off the books next year. That's a win for the Habs. And at 27 years old, maybe there's still a team that wants to take a chance on this guy. It really hasn't worked out. He was so hyped when he came into Montreal, right? There was so much hype around him. The Lightning were trying to deal with a guy that didn't want to play in Tampa Bay, didn't get the ice time he wanted. And maybe Drewen's finding out why now, because honestly, maybe he just wasn't that good of a hockey player. Goes back to his hometown area. We won't remind the Habs fans what they paid for Jonathan Drewen, but that's besides the point now. Jonathan Drewen's name has been floated out there as a trade candidate. Maybe they get a second or third round pick for him. I think that's being optimistic, but I'm sure they will try and find something. And again, Kent Hughes, all credit to Kent Hughes, his first season as GM, he has made some really good moves so far, so I'm sure he'll find a way to get either Paul Byron or Jonathan Drewen's money and obviously their salary off of the books. So we'll see what happens. Again, we have a long off season ahead of us as the Stanley Cup finals are kind of wrapping up at this point. And now we have another update here. So this is despite the numerous trade inquiries on Josh Anderson, the Canadiens don't intend to move him. Now, I was kind of interested in the video I made. I said, should the Habs trade Anderson or not? And a lot of you guys, more than I would expect, said trade Josh Anderson. And that did kind of throw me off. I was expecting more of you guys to say keep him. He's not, but a lot of you made a lot of you made the point that he's a good player, but it's kind of lightning in a bottle, that it's not necessarily sustainable, and the success he had last season, trade him while his value's at max value, and then wherever he ends up going, he's going to probably meet somewhere between the middle of what he was in Columbus and what he's been in Montreal. So I do understand that point, and I thought that was kind of interesting, because a lot of Habs fans, in my opinion, I thought, we're gonna be upset. Why would we trade Anderson? A lot of you guys did say it wouldn't be a terrible idea. So let me know what you guys think of that in Hab City, Montreal. So we've heard this report before, but we're hearing it pop up again here in the beginning of the offseason. According to Pierre LeBrun, there haven't yet been any talks between Dallas and UFA John Klingberg. What does that have to do with the Habs? I'm getting to that. But both sides will probably chat in a couple of weeks. If he does go to free agency, wouldn't be surprised if Montreal Canadiens picked up the phone and gauged Dallas on a Jeff Petry trade. Now, if you guys remember, around the trade deadline in April, right before that, March, it was March, I remember sitting here talking about Jeff Petry to the Dallas Stars being a fit. that has been talked about numerous times. The Dallas Stars see Jeff Petry as a guy that, again, is not John Klingberg, but is the same sort of player. And I understand where they're coming from here. I think this would be a great addition for the Dallas Stars. Jeff Petry brings that veteran edge, that leadership. And again, under a guy like Pete DeBoer, and now that we know who the next head coach is, love him or hate him, I do think this was a good acquisition. Again, in spades. But I think if Jeff Petry comes in there, he's the kind of guy that could buy into the Pete DeBoer mindset. And I think he would do very well and flourish in Dallas. So let me know if you guys wanted to make a trade with the Dallas Stars. What would the Montreal Canadiens want from Dallas and be asking Jim Nill in that trade? So let me know. So yeah, we heard more about, again, Petry to Dallas. And we have another one from Marco D'Amico. The Pittsburgh Penguins have also shown some recent trade interest in Jeff Petry. Again, along the same lines, I think, of Dallas. It's, again, you hate to think of it this way, but he's kind of their second, he's their backup option, right? If they don't keep John Klingberg, go to Jeff Petry. If Pittsburgh doesn't keep Chris Letang, go to Jeff Petry. That seems to be the mentality for a lot of teams right now. So Montreal, quite honestly, probably won't get max value for Jeff Petry if that's the case, but they will be able to get something for him. So if I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, I'm hoping that Chris Letang and John Klingberg leave, because then there's going to be more of a market there for Jeff Petry. Again, we don't know how things are going to play out. There's a lot to still go on here, but that is something to kind of be rooting for if you're a Habs fan, kind of with your peripherals looking throughout the league. The more teams, it seems like, their guys leave in free agency, the more desperate they are to go after Petry. So keep an eye out for that. So this is also from Darren Drager. Going back to Kent Hughes, the GM of the Habs. Despite having the first overall pick, the Montreal Canadiens are going to try to move up in other areas of the draft. Let me know what you guys think. What areas of the draft would you like to see Montreal move up? I know they've been clamoring for that guy in the top 20, that defenseman, that Russian defenseman. Let me know if that's the guy that you guys still want, because I think a lot of Habs fans have been like, yeah, we want that guy. And I think I think it's Machekov or something like that. You guys will obviously correct me in the comments down below. Going into the draft, what would you like to see the Montreal Canadiens do? Would you like to see them move back in some of their, you know what I mean, right? They got a couple of draft picks, right? They've got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 3 third-round picks, 3 fourth-round picks, 2 seventh-round picks. Let's put it this way. They have a lot of draft picks. So do you want to see them maybe move up some of those third and fourth rounders into the top 2 rounds? Would you like to see them move up again, get another first round pick? Let me know what you guys think. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and let's go Habs.